You're ready for retirement, but is your spending plan ready for the unexpected? Without flexibility, your savings might not go the distance. Hi, I'm Demetriades, and if you're approaching retirement without a dynamic spending plan, you could wind up depleting your hard-earned savings much faster than you think. Today, I'll explain the ins and the outs of dynamic spending and why you should consider using it to help preserve your wealth in retirement. Let's start with the basics. Dynamic spending is a flexible approach that allows you to adjust your withdrawals to match your investment performance or personal needs. You can compare it to controlling your speed manually while driving on the highway. When the road's smooth, you speed up a little. Just like when the market is doing well, you spend a little more. But when the road gets bumpy or there's a sharp turn ahead, like a market downturn, you ease off the accelerator to maintain control and navigate safely. You're in control, adjusting your speed based on the road conditions. A set spending plan is more like driving on cruise control. You set a speed or a withdrawal rate and you stick with it, no matter how the road changes. It's a low maintenance approach that's fine when things are smooth, but doesn't adjust when the roads get tricky. So while set spending is generally a simpler approach, dynamic spending lets you shift gears, meaning you can adjust without making big lifestyle changes. For example, you might splurge a little when the market is up, maybe take that long-awaited vacation, or do some home renovations. At the same time, if there's a dip, you don't necessarily have to tighten the belt to extremes. You might just pause that extra spending until things stabilize. You could scale back on travel or make smaller, more budget-conscious home upgrades rather than completely delaying them. The goal is to continue living life as planned and make slight changes when needed. Adjusting your withdrawals based on how your portfolio performs makes you less likely to deplete your savings too quickly. The flexibility of dynamic spending can also help minimize taxes. When your withdrawals are based on the costs associated with different account types, you can lower your taxable income in any given year by choosing between taxable, tax-deferred, or tax-free accounts. For example, in strong market years, given the right situation, you might choose to withdraw from tax-deferred accounts because potential capital gain liability in taxable accounts may be counterproductive. During down markets, you might withdraw from taxable accounts where losses can be harvested and offset any capital gains. This strategy can help lower your taxable income and prevent moving into a higher tax bracket. Adjusting your withdrawal source year to year can help manage your tax liability, avoid paying more taxes than necessary, and preserve more of your savings for the future. However, the flexibility that makes dynamic spending appealing also adds some complexity. You'll need to constantly adjust your withdrawal strategy, which requires keeping up with the market performance and tax laws. This can be challenging if you're unfamiliar with tax strategies or uncomfortable making financial decisions. And mistiming withdrawals or taking too much from one type of account to minimize taxes could have unintended effects, such as limiting the growth of certain accounts. It's wise to consult a professional on these dynamic tax strategies. Okay, so this dynamic spending plan seems like the way you want to go. What can sabotage your plan? I think it's fair to say it can be tough to plan for healthcare in retirement because the magic number there is a moving target. Although expenses can vary from year to year, it's pretty inevitable that our medical needs and costs will increase as we age. The beauty of dynamic spending in this setting is that it lets you shift your budget to ensure you're covered, especially when you face bigger medical bills. You might choose to tighten up on discretionary spending, like travel or dining out, in order to prioritize your health. Having flexibility means you're not stuck choosing between enjoying retirement and taking care of your health. If long-term care becomes necessary, dynamic spending lets you adjust your lifestyle expenses to accommodate those higher costs without feeling financially strapped. For example, if you face unexpected health expenses, you might delay a planned vacation or reduce some discretionary spending. But with dynamic spending, it doesn't feel like a drastic shift, just small adjustments that keep you on track financially and ensuring you're getting the extra care you need. Since healthcare costs are a known unknown for many of us, they can quickly derail in any retirement spending plan. So health savings accounts, or HSAs, are an excellent complement to dynamic spending. If you have one, you already know the advantages. You can contribute pre-tax dollars, watch them grow tax-free, and withdraw them tax-free for qualified medical expenses. Pairing an HSA with dynamic spending allows you to pull from your portfolio for everyday expenses while letting your HSA cover those medical costs. In the years where healthcare costs are lower, your HSA can continue to grow. And in years where medical expenses increase, you can rely on that tax-advantaged account to help cover the costs. Another aspect to consider when managing money in retirement, your emotional response. A dynamic spending strategy can be beneficial here too. We've all heard stories of people panicking during a market downturn, selling off assets, and locking in losses that might have been avoided with a little patience. It's kind of like a driver who panics during a skid and overcorrects. You can make things worse with a hasty reaction. Dynamic spending helps you stay calm because the strategy is a pre-planned response and doesn't involve making extreme or sudden moves when the market gets bumpy. You're typically just cutting back until the road smooths out. So instead of reacting quickly out of emotion, you can take a deep breath because you already have a game plan. Then make some minor changes and continue living your retirement the way you envisioned. Dynamic spending can also benefit the semi-retired, especially if your work is flexible and generates a significant income. Let's say, for example, that you've planned to take $150,000 in annual withdrawals to cover your living expenses in full retirement. If your part-time income brings in $100,000 a year, you might only need to withdraw $50,000 from your retirement accounts. The remaining $100,000 that stays invested has the potential to grow, and that growth could mean your portfolio could be substantially larger at full retirement when you'd originally planned. On the flip side, if you prefer to reduce your working hours or take extended time off, you can temporarily adjust your withdrawals without disrupting your financial stability. You can tailor both your income and your withdrawals to suit your evolving lifestyle situation while keeping your portfolio working for you in the background. When considering your retirement spending, another thing to think about is the sequence of returns risk. Simply put, this means that if the market performs poorly during the early years of your retirement, it can significantly impact your overall portfolio, even if average returns over the long term are good. For example, if you experience a market downturn early in your retirement while you're making regular withdrawals, your portfolio could be significantly depleted before it has a chance to recover, making it harder for your investments to last through the entirety of your retirement. Let me give you a specific example of how your money could be affected by an early drop versus a later drop. In both cases, you'll start with a $2 million portfolio, take an annual $100,000 withdrawal, and experience a 20% market drop. In the early drop, you start with $2 million, but the market drops 20% in the first year, and your portfolio falls to $1.6 million. Following your $100,000 withdrawal, you're left with $1.5 million. From that point forward, you face a more challenging recovery because you have less money invested in the market. You also have less money to draw from. However, let's say you stick to your original plan and continue to withdraw $100,000 annually for retirement. If there are no further drops and you see a fairly typical 7% growth rate, you'll be at about $1.7 million 20 years in. Now, in the second scenario, the later drop, you retire with the same $2 million. But let's say your portfolio grows at 7% annually for the first 10 years. Even taking into account your annual withdrawals, your portfolio gets the opportunity to grow to almost $2.5 million during that time. If a 20% drop occurs at the 10-year mark, your portfolio will fall to roughly $2 million. Still hurts, but even after your annual $100,000 withdrawal, you're still left with nearly $1.9 million. Then if that 7% growth resumes, you'll be sitting at about $2.3 million at the 20-year mark. It's a much stronger position compared to the early drop scenario, about 1/3 more. This is where dynamic spending can make a real difference. If you retire just as the market dips, dynamic spending allows you to temporarily tighten your withdrawals, giving your portfolio time to recover without drawing down as much from it. For instance, instead of sticking to a fixed $100,000 annual withdrawal, you might reduce your withdrawals during a downturn, maybe only taking out $50,000 that year. This gives your portfolio a better chance to rebound when the market recovers, which can have a huge impact on your long-term financial security. Dynamic spending doesn't change the market dynamic, but it can provide a buffer against sequence of returns risk by giving you the flexibility to protect your portfolio in the critical early years of retirement. It ensures that you can continue to live comfortably without locking in losses or depleting your assets too quickly when the market's down. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, dynamic spending isn't a set it and forget it approach. Regular monitoring is required to ensure you stay on track, both in terms of your investment performance and your personal financial needs. Being proactive about assessing your withdrawals ensures you're a savvy steward, reducing both the risk of premature portfolio depletion and lifetime underconsumption. Underconsumption, you say? Is that a risk? Yes, because many investors hold their funds very close due to a scarcity mindset. What if I don't have enough money? Better not spend. But that thought pattern can be very limiting and keep you from using your resources for their greatest impact. It helps to think about how much is enough and to know that number. When you settle on a number you feel comfortable using as your retirement guideline, it's liberating and it opens up a world of possibilities. For example, let's imagine that with the help of a financial advisor, you've decided a $2 million portfolio will meet your retirement needs. Anything beyond that is icing on the cake. So if your portfolio is actually worth $2.4 million, you can comfortably choose to use that extra money to do something in the here and the now. Here's how using that additional $400K might look. You could potentially allocate $100,000 for immediate charitable projects and invest $300,000 in a donor-advised fund for grants over the next decade. In a strong market year, you might withdraw an additional $50,000 to fund a scholarship program, while in weaker years, you might focus on lower-cost initiatives like mentoring programs or volunteer activities. This flexible, dynamic spending approach would let you balance personal financial security with making a meaningful impact today. It's a win-win. I have another tip when it comes to dynamic spending. Whether you're looking to create flexibility within your budget or expand it for a greater impact, a spending withdrawal policy statement is a very helpful tool. This document guides when and how you'll adjust your withdrawals and provides a structured, proactive spending framework. It's wise to consult a financial advisor when developing this policy, since they offer objectivity and expertise, which can significantly affect how well your retirement plan performs over time. They also help ensure your policy is tailored to your specific financial situation and accounts for complex factors like tax efficiency, sequence of returns risk, and market volatility. And an advisor helps monitor and adjust the plan as market conditions or personal circumstances change, keeping your spending aligned with your long-term objectives. Does dynamic spending sound like a winner to you? You can choose to be proactive with your spending strategy. You're in the driver's seat. I'm Keith Demetriades. Thanks for joining me today. If you found this video helpful, please share it with others, follow the channel, and hit that bell so you get notifications when the next video drops. Be a savvy steward. Make your life count.